Hello and welcome to Sippin Coffee with Jeff. I'm Jeff, and this is my third attempt at recording this podcast. I have had to start and stop this damn thing 3 different times today, so that's about how my morning's going. How are you? I hope you got some coffee. Mine is a shitty K-cup, but it does the job. And yeah, let's go after it. Today I am going to just kind of touch on the bases, just kind of go over why I'm doing this podcast, what I've got going on, and what I plan on working on today, and we'll see how it goes. So, yeah, as I said, my name is Jeff Bilbrey, and I had a iteration of this podcast before. It was called Sippin' Whiskey with Jeff, and I just used to open up a brand new bottle of whiskey and talk about life, talk about what's going on. And it was pretty enjoyable, but I don't really drink a lot of whiskey anymore. I've cut out almost all alcohol. If I want to have a beer or something like that, I will. But I don't know. I just saw it as wasted calories. And I've been on this big kick since December 1st. I flipped the switch in my brain. That's what I call it. When I make the decision to do the right thing and stick to a new program, I have to come to that point in my brain. I don't know if any of you are like that, but for me, it's really hard to implement change. As spontaneous and as impulsive as I am, real change, for whatever reason, is very difficult for me. And so when I finally make that switch in my brain, it is literally like a light switch, and I commit. It's almost like an ADHD hyperfixation, which I have a lot of those as well. So I made the decision to go back to a low-carb lifestyle back on December 1st. And, I woke up that morning and I weighed in at 278.9, so 279. And that's a big boy. That's a lot of weight to carry around. And, it was a long time coming. And I'd watched the scale, and I'm like, okay, so when I'm 265, I'll do that. When I'm 270, I'll that's it. No more pop or whatever. I only drink Diet Pop anyway, but it never worked because I didn't flip that switch. I didn't commit, right? And so when I finally did commit, I went strict keto, which I've done many times, and I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, well, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. You can't do that," and that's why you've yo-yoed so much. I've yo-yoed because I am a stubborn ass, and I get to a point where I self-destruct in anything I do. I make a subconscious decision to ruin whatever it is that I'm putting my mind to. And I don't know if it spawns from my childhood. I remember very, very young, I used to work for my parents. Hang on a second. Here I go. Got to get that sip. I used to work for my parents, and I remember them telling me very young, your money's your money. Whatever you make is your money. And that just bled into everything. And so if I made the decision to buy something, it's my money. I'm going to buy it. Who's going to tell me otherwise, right? And so it bleeds into, debt and everything else that comes along with not saving your money or not being wise with your money. And so I'll self-destruct. I'll make, $40,000-$50,000 in a month doing what I'm doing and have zero. You just got to keep it up. You got to out earn your spend. is what it's called. And so it's almost the same thing with food, right? Like for years, I used to maintain the same weight. I was just out earning my spend. I was getting enough in movement wise to balance out whatever it is that I was eating. Well, as you get older, we all know that gets a little bit harder. It gets harder to out earn your spend. And so cutting carbs is the best way for my body to work. I cut out all sugar, I cut out all grains and processed foods. And we would have McDonald's once a week, pizza once a week, at least, as far as the fast foods go. It's easy and quick and just on the move, and no home cooking, nothing like that. In fact, my cooking has gotten worse, and I am a good cook. But if you don't work a muscle, it atrophies. And so I made the switch. I started no working out at that point, really. I mean, I go to the gym every once in a while for the hot tub, but just really focused on diet, cutting down the calories naturally just by cutting out the junk. And very quickly, the weight started to come off of me. The wife, it was a little bit more difficult for her. But I think, it's just different body types. And so I weighed in today at 246.8. So that's a pretty good weight loss. I have a goal to drop 10 pounds. I was at 250 at the start of the month. I want to get to 240 by the end of the month. I'm heading to Florida for my daughter's spring break. So, it's just a personal goal. If I hit 10, I hit 10. But I'm actively going to the gym every day, not necessarily working out. I work out 3 days a week with my son. Really enjoyed that so far. It's been great. We challenge each other. We keep each other honest, and we stick to a regimen, and it helps both of us. In the off days, either I'll just go, like yesterday was a recovery day, so I just went. I sat in the sauna for 15 minutes, and I went in the hot tub. And sometimes I'll hit the cold plunge. I'll tell you, and I'll talk about the cold plunge here for a second. I wasn't a believer in that cold plunge. All these whack jobs coming out saying how it's life-changing, and you sit in there for 20 minutes or whatever. That's a lot. But I tried it. I went in for, I think it was like 30 seconds or something the first time. I don't know. It was cold. And I was terrified because I came in and I made sure no one else was in the area. The very first time I dipped my toe in, it is cold, man. My gym has each locker room has a cold plunge, a hot tub, and a wet sauna and a dry sauna. Yeah, it was through the hospital, Ascension Genesis here in Michigan. So I dipped my toe in, and it was way too cold. But then the second time, when no one was around, I look around, make sure no one's there, and I made my way in, and I'm glad no one was around, because you're like, whoa, and you're breathing, you just feel like your air is getting sucked out of you. I didn't go all the way down. I just went down to my waist. And then out of that, I did more reading. And so the benefits of cold plunge, let's look it up here. Plunge. There we go. So here's what from the clevelandclinic.org. I don't know who the hell they are, but it's pretty universal. You go to Mayo Clinic, whatever, they're all going to say this. It says, easing sore muscles after a hard workout, reducing your core body temperature after a workout, helping you focus, helping you sleep better, decreasing inflammation, relieving muscle soreness, aiding with recovery after workouts, boosting immunity, improving clarity, and reducing depression or anxiety. And that's the one I want to touch on real quick. So when I finally, after I read on everything, and another thing it does is if you stay in there for at least 2 minutes and you don't go in the hot tub afterwards, you don't shower afterwards, you can shower with a cold shower, just rinse off the chlorine and everything else, but you let your body come up to temperature naturally. It activates the brown fat in your body, and it's like a supercharge for, when you're working on weight loss and everything else. When I went in for the first time for 2 minutes, I went down to my shoulders and I learned you got to keep your hands out of the cold plunge. Keep it out because your hands are so thin, at least mine, and I have joints that get inflamed. So I wanted to kind of get them in there to help with the inflammation. Very painful, very painful. I was able to sit in there up to my neck with no problem, but if I keep my hands in the cold plunge, it definitely was painful. So I kept them out of the water like this, and I stayed there for 2 minutes. Afterwards, I get out, cold, but you get a towel, you wrap it around yourself, your body starts warming up. I rinsed off with the cold water, and I put on my clothes, and man, your skin's red, but you're not freezing, and you're inside. You're okay. The mental change that I felt that day, it wasn't immediate. It was within, an hour or so afterwards, but it was almost like a constant dopamine drip. It improved my mood. I felt better. I just felt better. It's hard to explain. I overall, but I'll tell you what, even with all that, knowing that, it helped with my inflammation. I had, my knees were really hurting. My back was really hurting, carrying a lot of weight, right? And all that stuff compounds. This did help with that. It knocked down that inflammation. It's hard for me when I go to the gym now. I have to make an active choice. You're fighting something that is, in your body's perception, harming you by going in that cold water. So it's really hard to make that choice. But sometimes what I'll do is, instead of getting in, what I'll do is I'll go to the sauna first. I'll sit in the sauna for 15 minutes, and then I'll go in the hot tub for 10 minutes. And you don't go from the hot tub or the sauna directly into the cold plunge. I go into the shower, take a nice cool shower, bring your core temperature down. Otherwise you're shocking your heart way too much, jumping between one or the other. And I watch these guys at the gym all the time doing it. They'll come right out of that hot sauna or whatever, right into the cold plunge, and then they'll go right back into the hot tub. I'll tell you, I've done the hot tub or the cold plunge to the hot tub after just soaking like my legs or whatever, and boy, you want to talk about igniting. Your skin feels like it's on fire. But yeah, sometimes I'll just go in. I'll go in and I'll go down and then come right back out. And it does. It has that. It really invigorates you. It's a good way to just end your time at the gym. It's a shock, boom, and then you can go and shower or whatever if you're not going for the long-term soak. But so yeah, that's a quick little, in a nutshell, what I've got going on with the gym and everything. I'm going today. It's upper body, doing arms and it's a full upper body day. Normally I was only doing back and bis, and then chest and tris, and then legs for Monday or Tuesday. But we've added in racquetball on Saturday, and that's a full cardio and workout. It's a different type of deal. So now I just do a lower body on Tuesday, upper body on Wednesday, and throughout the week I'll do bicep curls myself. I don't want to overload my son and make him overhurt. But so let's get into a little bit else about what this podcast is going to kind of touch on beyond just normal talk like we just had, right? I do a lot of work with AI and automation. And, who doesn't these days, right? Like everybody's got a ChatGPT account and everything else. But I've been an early adopter. When ChatGPT was announced, I was in on it, and I poured everything I had for hours, 8, 10 hours a day, really learning, prompting, learning how to get what I want from the various AI platforms that are out there. And then I really dug into automation. And so what automation is taking different APIs that are provided by companies. So let's take Google, right? Google has a ton of APIs that they provide. API is nothing but a way to do something with code that you would normally do by clicking a button. And so let's take an email automation. I built an email automation for one of my companies. I get a lot of emails requesting sponsored posts on the website. And so normally what I got to do, if I have time, I check that email and I see these requests. I miss them all the time, which is just leaving money on the table. And I have to open that email. I have a template that I wrote. I click templates down in the little 3 dots down there, select the template, send, and then wait for a response. And then when that response comes in, I'm like, okay, yes, here's the rules. Here's what you have to follow. Send. Then they'll come back and be like, okay, agreed. We'll send over our article, right? And then a couple days later or a day later, they send their article. I take that article, go over to my website, post that article, copy the link. I submit it to Google, so it's indexed, and then I respond to them and say, okay, here's the link, here's a PayPal invoice. It's due within 48 hours or your article's removed. That's a lot of steps, right? That's a lot of time. I'm doing a lot of things. I built an automation that watches my email. It categorizes my email based off of the type of email that comes in. If it recognizes it as a sponsored post request, it engages in a conversation with that person. Hi, thank you for your interest. Here are the criteria for the sponsored post. Here's the price. If you're interested, reply to this email, let me know. When they reply, sometimes they're like, no, that's too much money. I only have $15. This automation that I built will respond to them and negotiate to my floor. I set a floor and a ceiling, a price range of where I want it to be. They'll say, hey, listen, we can't accept that amount of money. If you are interested, here is the lowest price that we can offer. And boom, sends it. And they'll reply back either yes or no. If it's no, then, hey, sorry, then good luck finding somebody to work with. If it is yes, it's like, great. Here's what I need you to send me. And it sends them over the information that they need to send. They reply back with the article. System takes that article. It formats it into HTML. It posts it on my WordPress website. Publishes it. Takes that link, generates an invoice, and then emails that to them. They pay. That money's in my account. That whole process there was something I've done now. I didn't do personally, but I've earned money for. I did once. I spent the time to build out that whole system. And so that's really what I've got into doing. And now I'm trying to build out systems that I can sell. I could sell that. My problem is finding the clients to buy it, right? So what I'm working on now is a content engine for publishers that will give them the tools necessary to streamline their production and engage and supercharge their engagement. Right? Following a principle called compounding content, where you take a single piece of content that you've created and reproduce it in multiple different formats. This is only one of the benefits of the system that I'm building, but it takes that single piece of content, repurposes it in multiple different versions. So if you write a blog, that blog could then turn into a reel. It could turn into a podcast, a short podcast. It could turn into other blogs, right? It could turn into multiple different social media posts across all the different platforms. Or you've done a podcast. This podcast is going to run through my system. It will be transcribed. There'll be captions added onto this video. It'll be published in video. It'll be published in audio. That audio is going to be analyzed and broken out into related blogs that will go on my various platforms. Maybe one blog about cold plunges, one blog about AI, one blog about AI automation, one blog about the keto diet, whatever it is, and it will link to my podcast for people that want to hear more about it, right? It will also analyze my podcast, find the most viral clips out of this podcast. It will cut those and automatically create shorts that I'll then upload to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to supercharge my reach. And it will create social posts for me. And all I have to do is sit down and record this podcast, go to my website in the plugin that I'm developing and upload my video or audio and hit start. And it will create all that for me within my dashboard that I could then take, or I can set it to auto post out on my different platforms. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. So today I'm focusing in on the podcast side of things. I am building out the viral clip generator. I'm building out the transcriber. I've already got this kind of already built. I just have to format it in such a way that I can plug it into my WordPress plugin that I'm building. So that's where the code comes from. And these are all things that I'm building with AI. I don't know how to code. I know how to read code. I can debug code. I know the principles of code. I've led senior developers and enterprise architects. But I am not a pure coder, right? And so I have a tool that I've built with various AI platforms where I can tell it what I want and it will produce what I want. And I'll go through that a little bit on this podcast on how you can do that too. And then I take that and I test it. I had it help me set my desktop system up to where I can plug that code in and test it and make sure it works the way I think it's going to work. And then it packages it up and I upload it to my WordPress site and then it works there. Yeah. So, the other part of this podcast is going to be guests. So every once in a while, I'd like to bring people on and just talk to them about what they've got going on in life, talk to them about their achievements, what they've accomplished, and what makes them tick. And that will happen every so often. I've got a couple people that I'd really like to talk to. I think they'd be really interesting conversations. So that will be another aspect of what we've got going on here. And so I hope you tune in. I don't know how long. I'm just going to talk until I'm done talking on these things. For now, today, this is about it. I just kind of wanted to introduce what I've got going on. So I hope you tune in. It will be available on Facebook, YouTube, anywhere podcasts are available once I get all that set up. For now, this is just going out to friends and family. This is just on my YouTube and my Facebook. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have some good coffee today. I hope you have a good, productive day. And we'll talk to you next time.